And
Nice.
the section that we float, we trailer to, and that's the upper Futaleufú near the town of Futaleufú.
Okay.
It's a tough name, but that is how you say it, I think.
I kind of like it though.
I think it's kind of a cool
kind of
name.
rolls,
I know.
yeah, it rolls off the tongue.
Futaleufú. Yeah,
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 it's the-
yeah, that's fun to say it.
Welcome to Guys Fishing Weekly. We don't just fish, we hook.
Happy New Year!
Eddie.
How are you, buddy?
I'm great, man. Happy New Year to you, brother.
Oh, thanks. It's 2025. We made it.
Yeah, we did. We made it. It was great. We had a pretty good year. I can't complain too much, man.
Yeah.
We
was
had
a
some
great-
big things going on.
Great 2024. 2025 looking up to be even better. So
That's right. That's right. I'm excited for 2025. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. What do we got going on today? Who's on the show?
today we're talking with Tyler Romig from Yelcho Fly Fishing in Patagonia, Chile.
Yes. Super stoked for this conversation.
It was a fun one. It's cool to hear about other places around the world, and excited to get down there and fish one of these days.
Absolutely, dude.
We're talking about all things growing up in small town Alaska, the path to becoming a Patagonian fly fishing guide, the lodge life, and 70 fish days.
Let's do it, dude.
Hey, Tyler, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
We're doing great, man. Welcome to the
Nice.
show. Good to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Tyler, where do we find you today?
In the middle of nowhere, really, in Patagonia, Chile. I would say about, if you want to look at a map, I'm about 50 miles south of the town of Chaitén, right on the southern shore of Lago Yelcho, close to where the Rio Futaleufú flows into the lake.
Awesome.
Yeah.
An absolute dream location to end up fishing.
Oh yeah, it's really, it's, in my opinion, the best place, and there's a lot of really good places in South America, Argentina and Chile, but this place, there's a reason I'm here. It's because it's really good. Really. Yeah.
Right on.
Well, let's start off with a little bit of a background on yourself. Where are you from? What got you into fishing? Things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm from Cooper Landing, Alaska, right where the Kenai River starts. Pretty well known among the fly fishing community for the big trout and, all 5 species of salmon run in the Kenai. It's a pretty special place for fishing. So yeah, Cooper Landing, Alaska, my hometown. All Alaskans are born, almost all Alaskans are born in the city of Anchorage because that's where the hospital's at. But my family's been Cooper Landing since the, I don't even know, probably the 30s.
Okay.
Long time. And I guess what got me into fly fishing, I started, my dad obviously got me into fly fishing, and we kind of started learning at the same time. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my dad had somebody that he worked with was really into it. And we had this remote property on this upper Russian Lake in Alaska. And there were some old fly rods up there. And so we just sort of kind of got into it together. And it's a pretty sweet place to learn to fly fish because there's a lot of fish up there that have never seen a fly. So I didn't have to suffer like some people do. I got to catch.
You probably thought you were a fly fishing phenom, like the future.
Oh, man.
The prodigy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The first fly, the bead-headed prince nymph, that's the first fly I had a lot of success with, probably my first day out, just some Jackson Cardinal cheap fly. And boy, that thing, it's smaller trout. There are some real nice fish up there, but there's a lot of small fish up there. And it's just a lot. I mean,
right.
Pretty
That's
special
the best
place
way to
learn.
start with. Right. You start with dumb fish. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
The ones that haven't
That's the
seen
only way to
anything,
go.
like just.
I remember, I learned up at this upper Russian Lake, which is close to Cooper Landing. It's in the Kenai River drainage, but it's a real remote section of it, upper tributary. And then, after I had fished there a lot, Cooper Landing obviously is real well known. It's like, well, I'm going to try. I had done it with gear before that. I was pretty into fishing as a kid, still am, obviously. And, so then it's like, well, I'm going to get them on the fly here on the Kenai. Well, it's a totally different ball game there. That's where I got humbled for sure. And my first
Right.
experience, it was winter fishing on the Kenai. Winter fishing's tough.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Anywhere.
but yeah, eventually figured it out.
That's great.
But
Okay, so you're from Alaska. You're fishing there. How do you end up in Chile? Give us a little bit of like that background, like how that storyline. I want to know how do you end up down in Patagonia?
well, it has a lot to do with, I started guiding when I was 18, so on the Kenai,
Okay.
just right out. I kind of fell into it in a way, but just sitting around the bonfire, with a bunch of trout fishermen, people travel there from all over the world. And, Patagonia is on the list of a lot of people. So it's,
Mhm.
came up in conversation or
Okay.
a lot of it was talking about like hanging out with chicks down here and fishing. I'm not going to lie. That played a little
Sure.
bit of a role into it, but it took me years and years to ever come here actually. But that was where it first started. The seed was first planted, just hanging out with, clients and other guides that, talking about it. It's,
Okay.
everyone who's fly fished for a little bit has, Patagonia's come up, and rightly so. It's one of the best places in the world to do it for sure. I haven't been to New Zealand or Russia, but otherwise I fished a lot of the, really good places in the continental US and Alaska and down here now. I mean, it's really good. So,
Nice.
it comes up for a reason, and yeah, it's good here.
So say I wanted to be a Chilean fly fishing guide. I guess, what's the process of even, getting into that world?
Well, there is no really official guide license or anything like you have to go through in the States. Now I work through the lodge is an established business, so they have the licensing for the business for me, so I didn't have to go through that. But you just got to come down here and sort of hack out your existence, basically.
Okay.
Right.
There's really not any, set defined way to do it. There's no formal process to go through. Now I have my captain's license, which my U.S. Coast Guard, my merchant mariner credential. Now, technically speaking, everybody down here running boats needs a merchant mariner credential, which it is good, through international regulation. It is good throughout. Your captain's license from the States is good here. You're supposed to get it switched out technically, but you just go in and they print you one out, and it's a direct. So technically that would be one thing that you would need, but nobody has that. I'm basically the only person that has that down here. So,
Right.
So did you apply from afar, or did you just like pack your bags, hop on a plane, and just drop yourself on their doorstep and say, "Hey, I'm ready to work"?
yeah. I came down here a couple years trout bumming at first. I did 3 seasons with some of my guide buddies. Eventually those bonfire conversations manifested into a real trip. So I came down here initially, bought a car down here, went through the process, do all that, and we drove all over the place fly fishing.
Mhm.
So I scoped everything out. Now I was always looking at it, maybe not always, but real quickly I realized, well, this is a place I may want to spend even more time. And so I was sort of like trying to figure out where I might want to spend that, like the best place possible. And so I think I did it 3 times. It's hard to say because COVID was mixed in there.
Right.
I got caught up on one of the last one. It's hard to say. They all kind of blend together. But one of the trips, I got stuck down here during COVID for a minute. Everything got kind of blown up there.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. And then after COVID ended, I came down on another trip, and then I was serious. I was like, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to set something up so that I can bring people down here and show them how great the fishing is. So I started looking for places in this particular area, and I actually I came to this. It says La Cabana Fishing Lodge right outside on the thing. I was just looking for a place to stay because the name's kind of confusing, to be honest with you. I just wanted a place to stay, and then I realized it was I there's some history behind the name. Maybe we can get into that later, but there's this old lodge here, and I was like, oh man, I might have some guys that I could come down. We could rent this out for a couple weeks, and then so I was talking to the owner of the lodge about that, and they were like, well, why don't we just kind of work together on this? We could just use the new lodge up there and sort of have a partnership instead of you trying to do it all by yourself.
Right.
Hire, because you got to cook for people, and they handle the lodging end. You got everyone gets to stay at the nice lodge. There's a hot tub up there and everything. And then I just worry about the fishing and the logistics of that. So, yeah, I came down specifically hunting that down on the last trip.
That's awesome.
Knowing this was the area that I wanted to be in.
Right. It seems like being in Alaska, you've had a pretty big sense of adventure in your life. That seems to be something that was, I don't know, maybe ingrained in you as a kid. I imagine living up in Alaska and exploring and doing all that stuff. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that there's something. I mean, I'm a fly fisherman. I've been a trout bum in Colorado for 30 years, whatever. But I have kids, I have family. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like that by proxy guy that looks at you and goes, man, I want that. Like, what a great life. Like, your sense of adventure is really, I don't know, it's something to behold. I really envy that. And so I get out and I do stuff when I can, but talk a little bit about that in your life and how it's led you to where you are now and kind of like your lifestyle in that.
Yeah, that's a good question there, really. I mean, man, I grew up, first of all, Cooper Landing's fairly remote, even though it's close to the large population center. We grew up eating moose that we hunted, caribou, and salmon, more of I'm not going to say I lived a subsistence life like some of the natives in other parts of Alaska, because those guys are real serious out there, but a large portion of my diet and everything was based off of like living off the land to a certain extent, and fish, salmon, sockeye salmon in particular being a big part of that.
Right.
And so, a lot of our summertime activities were centered around that, especially, of course my parents had jobs and stuff, but we would harvest salmon and moose and stuff when we could. So it kind of started from there. And there's just, I don't know if you guys can picture Cooper Landing, but it's a pretty mountainous area. There's a lot of there's a big lake there. Man, I spent, every summer just hiking to the tops of these mountains, ptarmigan hunting.
Nice.
I did a lot of hunting actually growing up and fishing. But yeah, I've been to the top of every mountain you can see around Cooper Landing, lots of different times. Cool. I mean, I haven't done it in a while, just gone and hiked up to the top of the mountain. I'm actually getting the urge to do it around here. But yeah, we would do in that remote property we had up at Upper Russian Lake. Upper Russian Lake's a pretty special place. Some people know about it, but it's hard to get to. I would spend my dad worked on the North Slope in the oil fields for a good part of my childhood. So he would work like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So we would have some stretches where he wasn't working, and we'd go up there for a week or two sometimes and just, fish and sort of live off the land, and
right on.
Pretty fun. And I just became addicted to it. What can I say? I love it.
Right. That's awesome.
Just, waking up in the morning and, well, where am I going to fish today? That's all I really thought about. Or, am I going to go back here and grouse hunt, or am I going to go over to the river and trout fish all day? The only thing we really worried about were brown bears, which is a fear. But
Yeah.
Right. I was going to say, like, my short time in Alaska, we were able to see, I spent the summer up there and did some backpacking in Denali National Park. And we saw, I saw a wolf pack. We saw moose. We saw bears. And, I remember the park rangers telling us, okay, when you go in the backwoods and you're backpacking and you see a bear, make a bunch of noise, stand your ground, don't run. You see a bear in the wilderness when you're camping, and it's like, fuck that. Like, you're running. You're packing your shit up and you're heading the other direction, hoping a bear. You're making noise, yeah, but every instinct is telling you to like, turn tail and run, dude. It's intense, and it's real. Like, that was insane.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to like hang out like with them. They're not always the most dangerous animals or anything, but it's not, knowing that thing could turn around and take you out at any point. You do have to, if you're not, if you don't have a healthy fear of them, you're probably not very smart,
Right.
Because those things are they're the
I
apex predator out there for sure. The brown bears are. The wolves are as well, but it's a little different. The brown bears are kind of a individual animal.
Yeah.
All of them are.
Yeah, no,
really
we watched a wolf pack from we were on a distance. We were actually on one of the buses driving back, and the bus driver spotted it, and we kind of stopped and got out and saw them. They were like walking on this ridge, and there was probably like, I don't know, a dozen of them. It was pretty cool.
Wolves are awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing to see some of those, real wild species in their environment. Like, and you get that. I always tell people, I'm like, when you go to Alaska, the vastness of it and just like how big it is, like 100 miles from like, you think Anchorage, biggest town in Alaska, biggest city, like you go there and you're like, this isn't like Chicago big. It's not like,
No,
even Anchorage is like, it's like a tiny town. It's not really, you know what I mean? I'm just like, it's so
it's got
huge and like
stoplights and stuff, but you can
but
get
it's
out
not
of town
like,
it takes you 10 minutes to 15 minutes to get out of Anchorage, and then you're in it.
Right.
Right. That's about it.
So 100 miles from Anchorage,
Chicago,
that's like remote. Yeah. It's just the vastness of it it was incredible. And then seeing Mount McKinley for the first time was insane. I like it. That mountain just is like, makes these mountains around Colorado look puny. It's just amazing.
Right. There's a couple big ones that, what do they call them? The college peaks or whatever down there in Manitou
Yeah, the
Springs
collegiate
area.
peaks. Yeah.
Collegiate peaks. Those things are pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's nothing like those big. The Alaska range is big. The Andes here are pretty big too. They're comparable.
Right.
But those Alaska, Denali is a huge mountain.
Right.
I mean, that thing.
That's
just I forget the mountaineering term for it, but just from base to peak, it's not only high in elevation, but it's just a big piece of rock.
Thick.
I mean,
yeah, it's huge. I'll never forget the first time we saw it. Yeah, it was amazing. So you're down in Patagonia. Tell us about your lodge a little bit. Tell us, like, your season is from November to April, right? Like, so winter time up here. What's it like down there?
Well, the season, the regulations are kind of weird. It kind of fluctuate. The start of the season and the end of the season fluctuates every year, but it's always reliably November 1st to May 1st. Sometimes we'll get like an extra 2 weeks on either side of that, the way they set the rules. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I don't know. There's not a lot of consistency there, but from a climatic standpoint, it's, right now it's pouring rain, but it's the first time it's rained here in about a week and a half. So, it's not all that different than the Northwest. It's really similar. In fact, in general, the continent of South America is very similar to the Pacific Northwest. You get on the west side of the divide and it can be wet and rainy, but you got big rivers, salmon runs, good fishing. And you get on the other side of the divide and it's deserty, but you still have some pretty solid, like, high desert style fishing. That would be like Argentina.
Okay.
And so it's really, really similar to the Pacific Northwest here.
Right on.
With the climate, it very rarely,
Right.
we're far enough north that very rarely snows here, but it does snow here, you know, and we're basically at sea level here, 200 feet in elevation.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And so if we were to come down, and fish, what would the week look like together?
Let's just say you guys were set to come tomorrow or whatever. You would get to, from the way the lodge works is you guys get to Portamont, the town of Portamont. So you go to Santiago, and then Portamont's like another domestic flight from there. Pretty quick flight. From Portamont, we take everything over. Now, if your schedule doesn't, there's only 2 flights a day from Portamont to Chaiten, and they're on Cessna Caravans, similar to Alaska in that sense. If you go to a lodge in Alaska, you got to fly out on a Cessna Caravan, which is it's a small plane, but it's not that small. So there's only 2 flights a day from Portamont to Chaiten. Logistically it doesn't work out where we can get you on that flight same day, then we'll get you guys we have a driver for you at the airport in Portamont. He'll take you to a hotel, and there's restaurants available. Take you to a hotel, and then he'll pick you up in the morning. We'll get you on the next flight first thing in the morning, where we'll pick you up and bring you out to the lodge from the Chaiten airport. And then from there, everybody wants like a real regimented schedule. The first thing I noticed, so I'm trying to kind of give an example of what the week would look like here, I guess. Lago Yelcho is our bread and butter. We have something like 20 some different places we can fish. A lot of rivers around here. All within an hour of the lodge. A lot of rivers. We got Putaleafu, Rio Palena, Rio Yelcho, Rio Espallon, a bunch of different places, but the lake is super good. But a lot of people have a hard time accepting that they're going to be fishing on a lake, and that's fine. We have world-class rivers around here as well. But what ends up happening is I'll be like, that's fine when I'm talking to people. I was like, we'll do a day on the lake when it's good or whatever, and then we'll go fish the rivers from there. But what ends up happening is they get here and we go do like a quick half day out on the lake, and they realize that this isn't like other lakes that they've fished in other places. And it's at that point, it becomes like hard to pull them off the lake because it's so much different. There's so many fish, good sized fish in Lago Yelcho. You know, everyone's heard of Lago Strobel for the rainbows there, or Jurassic Lake.
Right.
This would be, you know, the brown trout version of that. Now, we don't see 20-pound brown trout regularly here. Like they say they see them at Jurassic Lake, and they do get some big rainbows. There's only rainbows there. But this would be the, you know, brown trout version of that. We also have rainbows here. It's just a lot of fish here. So, you know, I still end up pulling people off the lake so we can explore a little bit, but it real quickly becomes, it changes from, they change their mind real quick once they fish the lake and they realize the dry fly fishing is incredible. The streamer fishing on the lake, you know, the numbers you can put up can be pretty nice in the size of the fish. So it's like, yeah. In fact, most of the time you get out there and within 20, 30 minutes, you kind of forget where you're at. You don't realize you're just caught up in the moment. Right. You're just fishing it. So, you know, we usually fish from, we kind of play it whatever the clients really want to do. I try to get us out by 8 o'clock in the morning, but some people want to push it a little later. We don't have to be super early in the morning to have success here. That's for sure. And, if the weather allows for it, if we're fishing the lake, we can come back to the lodge for lunch because we're so close. But most of the time I prefer to stay out all day, have a shore lunch, and, you know, come back. I like to try to start around 8 and then come back, you know, whenever we feel like it. Really, there's really no rules here as far as that's concerned, except you can't fish at night here for some reason. You know,
so no mouse patterns.
I fished the mice during the day.
Oh,
it
they
worked
work.
really
Right
well.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like November's a pretty good mouse month when the water's real high. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially like
Okay.
today with it not being so sunny, a little bit of rain out there.
Yeah.
You could probably get them on the mouse right now. I guarantee you could get them on the mouse. It's just, you gotta,
Nice.
the mouse works well. It's not
Right
always
on.
the best option, but, so yeah,
Right.
then shore lunch, come back to the lodge. Elisa, the owner and the chef, she likes us to be back by 8 for dinner.
Okay.
She's got to have dinner prepared for everybody. So I understand why she has a schedule around that, and that's totally fine. 12 hours is a long time on the water. So
It is.
and then
Right,
we
right.
fish 6.5 days, and then we can go wherever you guys want to go. We can
Right on.
do any we can fish the lake. We don't have to go to the lake. We can do all rivers. 6.5 days. We can see a different spot every time if you want to do that. And then we'll take you back to the Chai-Ten airport, get you back to Port of Mont, and on your way back home. Or some people go to another location. They have like a lodge in Argentina they go to next. I don't know how they afford that, but they do.
Right. Yeah, a bunch of
I mean,
DIY fishermen like us, that'd be a tall order, but no, I'm not going to take
Right.
it off the board. Who
Right.
knows?
Well, my first trip down here, it was DIY my first couple times. I got myself a kayak, and
Oh, wow.
that got me out on the water, although it's not the greatest platform it was just a paddle kayak, not like a foot pedal one.
Right.
That got me out. You need a boat here. You really do. Just to access some of these places. The brush is thick, man. Like it's hard to,
Right.
you got to get on the water and use the waterways as your path, is your road basically to get from one place to the other.
So
So-
if we go out river fishing, if we're going to different rivers, are we floating those rivers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can get
Okay,
out and fish
all right.
too. You don't have to stay
Right,
stuck in the
right.
boat.
You need a boat. Like you're not hiking in, you're not like bushwhacking stuff and hiking rivers. You're floating.
No. We're launching the boat. I have a jet boat here, so we can.
Oh,
Did we just lose power?
did we lose him?
Hang with us.
Tyler, can you hear us? You froze.
Oh no, we got a power outage.
Ah, damn it. I don't know if you can hear me.
All right, we're back. We had a little snafu with the international web service, but we're back. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So, yeah, Tyler, we were talking about floating, and you were talking about the need for a boat, and kind of like, so if we're there, we're floating rivers, and we're out on boats on the lake. Is that kind of how we roll?
Yeah, boats. We have a raft for floating the rivers, but I have a jet boat too. We use that a lot on the rivers. And then we have lake-specific boats as well. If I was still back at the lodge, I was going to flip the camera around. The boats are all out in front, but it is what it is now.
Yeah,
That's all right.
it's all
that's
good.
all right.
But so yeah, there is one section that we have to float. It's not by law, but it's by like community decision. They don't
Okay.
want motors in that part of the river, which is fine. So we have a raft for that, and then I have a jet boat and lake boats, and we cover the whole
Right.
spectrum. There is some walking in spots you can do, like you can drive along I've done this with clients once or twice, like on super rainy days. Today's not even that rainy, but super rainy days, and it's like, oh man, I'm not really feeling it. It's like, well, let's cruise down the road. I know a couple little basically ditches along. Basically, if there's water here, there's going to be fish in it. Some of them are actually pretty good, and so
Yeah, right on.
we'll just make a
Nice.
day of it that way. But yeah, the water's big generally here, so we're in boats and we get out on
Okay.
gravel bars and stuff.
Right.
Are there any high mountain creeks or anything like that you like? Not that we would go guiding up there, but if you were doing it on your own, would you be able to hike up into some high mountain stuff or no?
For sure, absolutely, yeah. There's several of them in the area. Argentina's got a lot of those too. Argentina's tough because of the land. There's a lot of land ownership there, and the access is a
Okay.
little different. But yeah, there's places all. I mean, there's a lot of places to fish, and they're all really generally pretty darn good spots. I mean, like I say, if there's water here, there's fish. Like I'm looking at a ditch right out the window, thinking there might like literally like a ditch that they dug with some equipment last year. And it does connect to a river, I know, not very far from here, maybe 400
Right.
meters, 400 yards. They got me on the metric system here these days.
I
400
know.
yards away.
Yeah, you're converted.
Yeah, there's probably fish in this thing that swam. in
That's
there.
awesome.
But
Well, you're gonna have to hop out and fish it after this call and let us know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do have my nets back there, but I don't have my rods with me.
Oh man.
Wait, do I? No, just my nets. Yeah, that's not sporting.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's not it. So is the lake close enough? Like, can you walk down to the lake and fish, or
100
like
oh,
from
yeah.
the lodge from where it is?
Yeah, it's less than a kilometer. Yeah, it's
Okay.
in fact, we leave the boat when we have clients. We just have the boats at the lake boats, and we just cruise down there in the vehicle in the morning when we're fishing the lake, and then we trailer up the jet boat and the raft.
Right.
Too. The lake's
Okay.
the closest
Cool.
one. We can fish the Rio Fudaleafu from the Rio Fudaleafu, which is probably the next best place. Really good, actually. There's really big trout in the
Mhm.
section above the lake there. We fish that out of the same boat launch, just right there at the lake, and just run up into it with the jet boat.
Okay.
And
Nice.
the section that we float, we trailer to, and that's the upper Fudaleafu near the town of Fudaleafu.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a tough name, but that is how you say it, I think.
I kind of like it though.
I think it's kind of a cool-
Kind of
yeah,
rolls.
I know.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue.
Pudaleafu. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the-
yeah, that's fun to say it.
It is the most famous whitewater river arguably, that's obviously an opinion, but probably considered one of the best whitewater rivers in the world, if not the best. I run up to the rapids. You don't want to go through that with fishing gear because you're probably going to lose some
Right.
of it, if not all of it.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
that is one thing. Like I always try to encourage people when they come to just take a day off and go float that river. A lot of people, especially after they start fishing, they realize that it really is that good fishing here. A lot of people, it's hard to
Mhm.
convince them, but when I get them to go do that whitewater, because they're really safe. It's a safe whitewater river, as safe as it can be, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a 70-year-old guy do it last year, no problems. They're always like, man, I'm so glad I did that. That was incredible. I mean, it's pretty
That's
intense.
cool.
Right on. Good.
Uh,
Good.
yeah, you can see some YouTube videos of it. It's cool.
Right on.
It highlights the whitewater pretty nicely.
Yeah. So obviously coming down to your neck of the woods would be, awesome, and the fishing being the driving force of what makes it so awesome. But what about coming to a lodge with some of your buddies is so special and an experience that you need to do in life?
That's a good question. Well, it's really about the location. The beauty of fishing lodges both here and in Alaska. I'm not too. I know there are fishing lodges in the States. I'm not too familiar with how those work. Because they're there for a reason. They're there because there's really, if you want to come experience the area from a fishing standpoint, there's not a ton of, like, you kind of have to do it that way. It's the opportunity that it provides you, I guess, would be the answer to your question. It's really, really nice. There's a hot tub, all the amenities, everyone's cooking food for you. You don't have to do any dishes, all that. It's all inclusive. That kind of thing is really nice, but it's really more about the location.
Right.
And the opportunity that it provides you. I guess that's the best answer to it, because it's here because the fishing's really good. I mean, it's a, over $1 million lodge at this place here.
Right.
And it's there, it was built by people coming here to fish, and it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't a really special place to begin with. So,
Right.
all the amenities, everyone doing everything for you is great, but it's the location and the opportunity.
That certainly gives you time to hang out with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, with your friends, hanging out at the end of the day. There's a great view over the lake. You know, that's the beauty of it, you know, running around, you know, everyone's experiencing something pretty new for the first time, really. You know, it is trout here, trout and salmon, so there's some familiarity, but there's a lot of it that's like, everyone's going to be kind of like, wow, that's just, there's enough that's different to where everyone's really like kind of pretty pumped and having a pretty good time together.
Right. What's the average fish size? What's the biggest fish you've seen pulled out of your fishing adventures down there?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Now, the biggest fish, I'll start there, was not on this drainage. With the biggest average fish are certainly coming out of here. The biggest fish I got on a river called Rio Manso. It's actually a famous, if you look it up, it's unknown drainage for trout fishing.
Yeah.
It's a little north of here, actually. Rio Pueblo drainage. I believe that one, I had one of those nets with the measurement thing. It was like 32-inch brown. It was actually just on huge. Just on the other side of the Argentina border, right at the Argentina-Chile border. So
did you get him on a dry fly?
That's the biggest streamer. I did try the dry real quick, but I didn't want to spook that thing. I had hiked into this. I'll finish the rest of the question. I had hiked into this spot first thing in the morning. I had spooked a nice brown out the day before, not that one. And I was like, I'm going to go back there in the morning and get that thing. It's okay, Bruno. So I hiked in there, and I was fishing. I was standing on these rocks fishing other fish out in the stream. And I looked down, this thing's like right at my feet, basically. I don't know how I got there without scaring it. So I like tried to, you know, one cast. I was afraid to move. Yeah. And then so I real quick just switched to a streamer. I went to put a nymph on, actually. I'll be honest. I went to put a nymph on just to get this thing. It was so big. And then I was like, no, I'm just going to do a streamer. And I basically hung the streamer a little up current and kind of jigged it by it. And it just came out and grabbed it. It's no special, like crazy story, except that I was just right on top of the thing, afraid to move, basically.
Right.
It was dark when I got there. So I guess I didn't see it at first. And it just, I mean, it was less than 2 feet away from the tip of my toes when I saw this thing. I was like, oh my God. But fantastic. So I haven't measured a fish here on this drainage yet, really, except maybe in the past. But I would say our average fish, we're seeing a lot of fish in the 17, 18-inch range. Fairly nice, chunky average.
Yeah.
And, you know, every day, most people have a shot at a 2-foot brown, I would say.
Nice. Right on.
And a lot of fish in the 21 to 24-inch range. You know, we're going to see, this is an average day. It doesn't happen every day. Some days it's significantly better than this. But, you know, I would say we'll see 2 to 4 in the 21 to 24-inch range per day. A lot of we very rarely see a fish below 16 inches. There's just the little ones. I don't know where they're at. Well, I do. They're in Rio Yelcho is where they're at. That's like the nursery for the area. If the other guides down there hear me say that, I'm going to be in trouble, but it's true. A lot of small fish on Rio Yelcho, but they come into the lake and up into the Futaleufú after that. And it's just, we never say never, but we rarely see less than 16-inch fish. So it's always nice fish. Yeah. It's they're somewhere, but it's just not where we're at. It's not the nursery.
Sweet.
Yeah. And in numbers wise, man, it can go some days we're almost always double-digit days. Very rarely is it less than 10 fish. Most days we're going to probably see nearly 20 fish per client. And last year I had some guys from Colorado, actually, peak dry fly time. These guys didn't want to fish the lake at first. And, you know, same story. I was kind of referencing earlier, and boy, we had 2 days on the lake where it was 70, 80 fish all on dry flies in 2 different boats. I
Wow.
mean, it was
Right.
crazy good.
Right.
So if you
Wow,
time
nice.
it right, that's kind of the high end of it, and it's all those nice fish. You know, we were using
Right.
like the fat Alberts and I'm not a big fan of the Chernobyl ant. A lot of people like that pattern down
Right.
here. I think the fat Albert, the beetle, there's a lot
Yeah.
of those big beetles down here. Those,
Okay.
I think they work a little better, but those Chernobyls, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
They do like them sometimes, and they were
Nice.
coming for them those days for sure. It's okay, Bruno. Bruno's
Right.
all stressed out
What's-
because I'm sitting on the side of the road here.
He wants to get in that ravine ditch.
Let's
Oh,
go
yeah.
fishing in that ditch. What's the best time? What time of year is that like most likely to hit it? Is that in January, February, March?
Yeah. The best time is probably the peak is going to be like let's say the second week of January to like the second week of February, like that zone in there. It's hard to say exactly what days it's
Okay.
going to be.
Right. Right.
But right now the dragonfly bite is really getting going, and we're doing pretty well right now too. So it could,
Right on.
so it's really about a 2-month really good window, like right now to mid-February.
Very
Sweet.
sweet.
The dragonfly bite's pretty epic. Those, they come out of the water for them pretty good. It's pretty fun. Sometimes you got to like almost skate that dragonfly across the surface to get them going, because that's the right presentation. Really, most of the time you're fishing a dragonfly. Most of the time they're eating a dragonfly. It's when they're laying their eggs, skittering their butt across the surface, and they just come shooting out of the water after them. And, so you try to just lay the fly down because that's a hard presentation, but sometimes you got to lay that thing down. Then you try to kind of
then skate it.
kind of skitter it a little bit. That's the best way to put it. It's like a skate, but you almost kind of try to get it in the air a little bit. And they'll come for it, man. It's pretty fun.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
And then it transitions to the beetle here. The dragonflies always kind of work, but it transitions to the beetle here as the season goes on. And there's a caddis fly. There's a good caddis hatch here also, but it's really, and that's coming in. It happens kind of, it could happen right now if the conditions were right, really. But to be honest with you, we're almost always we'll use a lot of hoppers too. Even though there's not a ton of grasshoppers around here, we do use them, and they work pretty good. In fact, that guy you had on last week, I use a lot of his patterns.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good stuff. Baco, what's his Dave Baco?
Yeah.
Kyle Baco.
Yeah, Kyle Baco.
Kyle, yeah. He's got some good ones, for sure. And also the Dave's hopper. It's a little different.
Yeah.
That's a good fly too.
We'll have to bring Kyle down with us and see if he can bring some of his test subjects from underneath his coffee table.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The beetle patterns are the king down here, but the hoppers work really nicely.
Sweet.
The hoppers work great.
Well, this is getting us foaming at the mouth to get out there for sure.
Yes, it is.
Well, the beauty, what makes it so, it's just so nice fishing foam flies, man. Foam terrestrials.
Yeah.
Doesn't really get any better than that, in my opinion. Yeah, it's nice fishing those natural caddis and mayflies and stuff, but when they're eating those terrestrials, it's pretty sweet, and that's what it is. There's a lot more land-based insects here. The aquatic-based life, insect life isn't as prolific as it is in the States. It does exist here, but a lot more land-based, terrestrial-based insect life here. They're big too. Those beetles will be like the size of my hand. They're giant.
And they'll take them
For a
down.
guy who can't see, I like that idea.
Yeah. I've actually seen those beetles, those big, there's a bunch of different names, Cantara or stag beetle or whatever. They're like the size, bigger than the palm of my hand. I've seen them on the water. I've seen trout crush them a bunch of times on the water, but I've also seen a trout swim up to them and refuse that thing just like a regular. The thing's like trying to swim, and so it goes to show you, sometimes you get refused and you do have the right fly.
Right.
I've seen them refuse the real thing before. It's just the way thing's so big it probably scares them.
Right.
Right.
So
But-
gonna bite back.
That's amazing.
Well, this has been
But-
awesome. How about we wrap this up with the GFW hot seat?
Welcome to the GFW Hot Seat, where the name of the game is to answer the questions. And the prizes are... Wait, who said we have prizes? Yeah.
What is one thing you're currently celebrating in life?
Man, you guys kind of sent me a little thing on that, but I forgot it already. What am I currently celebrating? I would say living the dream down here. I'm just kind of coming into my own down here, and things are starting to go the way I want them to go, and I just feel really blessed to be down here. Just I'm celebrating being here, and my dream
Creating a
coming
life.
true, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
That's good stuff. Yeah, you're living
Yeah.
you're living our dream too, brother. No, that's
Sweet.
amazing.
Well, I hope you guys come and get a look
Yeah.
at it.
For
We
sure.
will.
It's a special place for sure.
Give us one piece of content, a book, video, TV series, whatever, that you'd recommend to our listeners.
Okay. I love this question. The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. That's my favorite book by far. And
Okay.
it's not only
Nice.
about fishing, but it's about life and tenacity. And it's just, I think it might be one of the greatest books ever written. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. It's a short book. Anybody can read it. It's like 100, 140 pages, something like that. I know it sounds like one of those things.
Nice.
It's like a junior high reading assignment or something. But man, that book is really good. Anybody
it's a
can
goodie.
relate to that thing. Yeah.
Nice. Good. That's a good one.
What is one of your favorite fishing memories?
My favorite fishing memory was with one of my really good buddies. His name's Phil Hillbruner. He's an outfitter and guide in Cooper Landing. We started guiding together. Basically, I might have been a year or two in front of him. I have this spot in Alaska that it's a river. Nobody knows has steelhead in it except me
All right.
and him.
Nice.
So I probably shouldn't be saying that stuff, but we do a pretty good job of hiding our tracks.
Right.
But so I remember there's a little backstory to this particular memory. The season before the memory happened, I had found this place on Google Earth and gone in and explored it. And sure enough, I caught a couple steelhead in there. Confirmed that there are steelhead in there, and no one else is fishing it. It is open to fishing through a general opening. I'm not even sure that the Alaska Department of Fish and Game knows there's steelhead in there. So anyway, the next season comes along, and I'm talking to my buddy Phil, Lakeview Outfitters there. I'm like, man, that's pretty good. We should go in there and try to swing some steelhead up. I got a couple in there last year. He was a little skeptical. It doesn't look like the fishiest spot when you look at it on Google Earth. That's how I kind of do a lot of my research, initially, of course. We go in there, man, and it was wet and rainy like this day. Maybe we almost didn't want to get out of the car, Well, and we had to hike a ways too. But we get there, the water's a little high, it's a little bit dirty, and I wasn't too sure. It was his first time, so he wasn't sure at all. And we proceeded to have the best day steelhead fishing you could possibly ever have. I mean, we got, swinging flies is, a lot of people consider one grab a good day swinging
Right.
flies for steelhead. You don't even have to get one. That day we lost count. We probably had over 40 grabs.
Wow.
And we also lost count of how many steelhead we got. Certainly at 20, probably 20 fish on, and probably landed somewhere in the teens on fish. It was just a
Wow.
super unbelievable. We've been chasing that day ever since. We'll probably never see anything like it. Really good memory. Really good memory.
That's
It's
awesome.
always pretty good in that place, but and it just so happened to be like his first time. So anyway,
That's a good memory.
That was the best memory. There's been a ton of good ones for sure.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, but that's a different kind of steelhead fishing memory, because that doesn't usually happen. So that's
No.
impressive.
very, very rare. We've had some pretty,
Yeah.
we had Tierra del Fuego, a couple days down there for some sea run browns come to mind too. But, you know, it was special with that one because I was with, you know, one of my best friends. And yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah, that makes it even better.
absolutely.
Tyler, give us one piece of advice you wish someone had given your 20-year-old self.
That's a good question. Real good question. I got a lot of advice when I was 20. I just wish I had listened to it. That would be my answer to that.
Right.
Listen to people's advice and try to understand that people who are older than you have more life experience than you.
Right.
That would be my answer to that.
I hope my
Is
kids
there-
listen to this episode, because that's
Yeah.
really good advice. Yeah, just
Well,
listen
that's
to what your
something-
elders tell you.
You unfortunately
Oh, yeah.
for most people you got to become older before you realize that. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely, that's a great a piece of advice.
right, I had a hard time taking advice. Not that I didn't listen to it, but I always wanted to, kind of forge my own path, and
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's not. Sometimes it's easier to accept help and take people's advice for sure.
For sure. What is your definition of community?
My definition of community would be just being. Well, I guess I get into a technical definition on that, like a group of people together and working together towards a life and a common goal. That would be, I guess that's my answer to that. So whether that be an actual community proper, like the little village, Santa Lucia I'm in right now, or, a group of
Nice.
anglers like you guys manage, it would be, both a community, everyone kind of having each other's backs and being there for each other.
Right. Good.
Love it.
Love it. What's one thing you've changed your mind about lately?
I've changed my mind, but man, I change my mind all the time. The biggest thing, I guess, would go to the question before. I'm much more open to accepting help, taking advice, and I'm much more willing to work with other people now than maybe I was in the past. So I guess that would be
Nice.
Good. That's been a slow, maybe that didn't happen all at once, but if I compare now to 10 years ago, I'm drastically different in that aspect. So to say something, everything happens kind of slowly, really. I haven't,
Right.
changed anything drastically in the last recent history, really.
Right. No, it's good.
But yeah.
Well, our last question comes from our previous guest, who you mentioned earlier, Kyle Bacco.
Yeah.
And his question to you is, how are you going to make someone else's life better?
Okay. I saw him ask that actually, so I kind of knew it was coming. I did my research.
Nice.
I
Attaboy.
guess
Attaboy.
the answer to that question would be, I try to, I'm not really a religious person, and I don't even know if this is actually something that you do find in the Bible. So don't quote me on this, but I think, you want to act onto others as, I don't know how it goes. I want to treat people how I'd like to be treated, try to spread positivity,
Nice.
help people out, just to treat people how I want to be treated. And I feel like that will always be a good thing. and it should
Absolutely.
make people's lives better. And hopefully it kind of, as a contagious positivity, that's kind of, if you make someone else's life a little better, someone else's day a little better, they might then, I guess, pay it forward would be, it's kind of cheesy, but I do believe that's kind of how it works. And that would be my answer to the question.
That's a good one. Love it.
What's your question for our next guest?
My question for your next guest, that's a really tough too. That feels like, when like the college professor asks you to write the test question or one of the test questions or whatever.
Right.
But mine would be, if you could change anything in the fly fishing world, what would it be?
Oh, good question. I like it. Nice.
It's a goodie.
So,
that is a goodie. Good work.
Right on. Could cover a lot of things too, but yeah.
Yes, it could.
Okay.
Yes, it could. I'm already stewing my answer to that.
Yeah.
Goodie.
Well, this has been awesome, Tyler.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me.
You've painted a dream trip in our minds for sure, and we're going to make it happen one of these days. So, thank you for coming on and chatting up what sounds like one of the prettiest places in the world.
Yeah. Lago Yelcho, Futaleufú. It's incredible here.
Nice.
And I'm at La Cabana Fishing Lodge, which is, we also call it Yelcho Fly Fishing. I see you guys were asking me about that before we started.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that was going to be my final thing for you. Like, how do people find you guys? What's the best way to find the lodge, to find you, to book a trip?
Yeah. Well, I guess the best way, would be you can go to the website, which is, it's La Cabana Fishing Lodge is the name of the lodge, but the website is yelchoflyfishing.com. So YELCHO flyfishing.com. And that'll have all the contact information. My phone number's on there is the US. So for guys in the US, it would be easier for you to contact me through my phone number or WhatsApp with the same number, or you could get me on Instagram too, which is Chill Anglers. It's kind of a little play on word, CHILE and then Anglers, Chill Anglers. Right. So that's my Instagram handle there. You can send me a direct message there too. We can chat more. I love to just talk. You don't have to come to the lodge. I'm willing to offer up any information I have to get people, from all my experience, trout bumming down here, how to get a car. I could go on for hours and hours about that stuff. We don't have enough time here.
Great.
Well, we'll have you on the back to do a DIY trip to Chile too.
That's right.
Yeah. If you guys get a group that wants to do a DIY trip, we could do a little conference call or something, and I could kind of line you guys out on what you'll have to do to make it, to have some success. It's hard your first time, for sure.
Right, I'm sure.
Right. Well, awesome, man. This has been great, Tyler. We appreciate you being with us. Great conversation, and I can't wait to hook up, dude, and do some fishing.
I hope you guys come. Our motto down here is, affordability. We're trying to keep these trips as affordable as possible. There's a lot of big booking agencies that sort of monopolize it down here and have the price really driven up. And, it makes it out of people's ability to afford to come down here. And the only way we can compete with that is to keep the trips affordable.
Yeah. Right on.
We can talk more about that some other time, but it is pretty affordable down here. I can help you guys out with that.
Perfect. Well, we'll be in touch, and this is awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. We'll see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Man, it sounds like Patagonia is the perfect fishing setup for you and I. Dry flies for me, streamer fishing for you, just big old terrestrials, and I don't even know what you'd call your streamers, so just big old terrestrials.
Yeah, I am so excited for the opportunity to be able to go down there and experience, one, different place, different country, and two, some pretty monster fish. It sounds like there's a lot of both. And so one of the things that impressed me the most about Tyler was his sense of adventure, his wanting and willing and desire to go out and explore, from remote Alaska all the way down, and he ends up in Chile. What a cool life, dude. Jealous on this end. Family's great, and I've had a wonderful life, and I can't complain. But, dude, yeah, if I was single, what a great thing to do. What a great life to live.
Just taking life by the horns, I guess, Just exploring canyons and finding new fishing spots with fish that, you never imagined to be up certain rivers, and then to go down and just, with a hope and a dream of finding a place to be a guide down in Chile. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, just a great story. And a great dude. Totally good guy. So that was that was good. That was interesting to hear about all the fun fishing stuff, So that was good. That was a goodie, dude.
And it'll be awesome. I mean, one day hopefully we can host a group down there and head down and check out the waters of Lago Yelcho.
7 days fishing, awesome. Dude.
Heck yeah.
I'm in.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Well, what are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating my nephew's getting married. And so big family, my brother's coming in town. And so we're doing, the whole family's around, and we're doing celebrating his wedding. So I get to see family and hang out and see some people I haven't seen in a while, and it'll be pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
Excited about that.
More
How about
family
you?
time. Extend the holidays.
Yeah, and this is like, outside family that you don't get to see all that often. So it's different kind of that, but it was good. Yeah. It's good. How about you, dude? What are you celebrating?
Well, obviously the holiday season was awesome, with the little one and everything. Get back to Colorado, seeing family, hanging out. But really, I'm still celebrating your birthday. Not because I like you, but it was awesome to get out on the water with all the guys. And actually, I didn't catch anything except frostbite and a couple of my toes. But it was a good day to get out and explore and go and grab a burrito afterwards together. And it was a good time.
That was a great birthday for me. I got to be honest with you. You get to be up here and you're just like, another birthday. Who gives a crap? But that was like awesome day. Yeah. I got to hang with the boys. We got to fish. One of the things I was thinking about afterwards was that, I was thinking about, funny, like, how we tend to kick ourselves in the ass for things that we don't do. And I was like, I should have spent some more time with you, and really pushing you to do some more nymph fishing and helping you kind of along that path. Because I know that you don't do a ton of nymph fishing. And and it was clearly getting flies down in the wintertime and getting them in the right level to where the fish are is huge.
The chubby Chernobyl stimmy rig I had on.
As we're navigating ice banks, not a whole lot of hopper action.
It was about to
around.
turn on. It was about to turn on. I know it was.
Yeah, so I was like, God, I should have spent some more time with Ed and like helped him nymph fish so that he can start building an arsenal of tactics. But I just, whatever.
No, he'll figure it out at some point on his own.
Ed will figure it out at some point. You're thinking he will?
Ed will. Yeah,
Ed will.
He'll read a book or something.
He'll get tired of cold ass days of not catching fish. And be like, okay, yeah, I need to learn how to see it. Good. Yeah, no, dude, that was a phenomenal day for me. So that was great. I really appreciated you guys. And you got me cupcakes, dude. It was awesome.
We got you cupcakes.
You got cupcakes and sang happy birthday. It was impressive. Impressive.
My daughter was pumped with the leftovers, so.
Nice. I know you're like, do you want to take them or should I save them and give them? I'm like, oh, give them to Eliana. For sure, 100%. Give them to the 4-year-old. Yeah.
Yep.
That was good. Did you mention Uncle Reed in there sometime?
No, I said I found these at a gas station. I thought you'd love them.
Brutal.
Yep.
Uh,
What are you navigating?
I'm definitely navigating. So, as a part of this wedding, my parents are coming into town, and my parents are old, and this has to be the last time they travel. My mom with dementia, she's going to be here staying at the house. So I have to caretake my parents, which when you're not used to doing that on the daily and regularly, that presents some challenges of its own. So I'm navigating that. How do I be supportive? How do I help them? How do I make sure that we avoid any major disasters and get them back on the plane on Sunday and home safely?
Yeah, that's a quick trip for them.
It is, but that's how it has to be now. My mom's bandwidth just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And when she's out of her space, she's really uncomfortable. With the dementia, it's So
Understandable.
Yeah. So I'm learning about that and how to kind of do all that stuff and be there for my dad and give him some reprieve from the caretaking. And so that's what I'm going to be navigating for the next several days.
Oh.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
It'll be good to have time with the family.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the good and bad. How about you, dude? What are you navigating?
I am navigating usually it's called spring cleaning, but right now it's turn of the year cleaning. This holiday season, I mean, my daughter's blessed to have a lot of love in her life, but her stuff that she brought home for her haul that she brought home for Christmas.
That's what they call it nowadays. Yeah,
I guess.
the haul.
The haul. And it just kind of highlighted we have too much crap, and we got to pare some stuff down. So we're not only her stuff, but just our stuff. You just collect stuff over the years, and so trying to clean out the garage, clean out some workspace to do some woodworking or fly tying and stuff like that, and just noticing just
how much junk
endless amount of stuff. I mean, and some of it's not even junk. It's just like, well, this is actually nice, but I got to get rid of it because I don't use it.
Right. I've used it once, twice,
Right.
maybe, and you're just like, why do I hang on to this?
Right. So,
Yep, I feel you.
it's that process right now, and the slow time of that slow period where you're able to sit down and take stock and whether you need something, and so
Yeah. Nice. Good. Yeah, that's a constant navigation, dude. Especially as you get older.
it's an ebb and flow for sure.
It is. Yeah. That's good. The winter
The-
purge. I like
This
it.
one came home and I was just like, what in the world? I don't know. Maybe it was just, just coming home from a road trip and you unload all of your bags. And so your fishing bags and your suitcases are all like right in the living room front door. And you're just like, this house is a disaster. And it just set off a ticking time bomb, I guess.
Those moments of realization are always hilarious where you're just like, oh my God, we got so much crap. Like, what are we doing? It's so funny. It happens constantly. That's great. That's good. That's good realizations, though.
Yeah.
That you're doing
It's
something about it. I like it.
It's a slow process too. You're just
Yep.
everything, especially when you're like, we don't have a ton of junk, but you're like, oh, this little, air fryer. It's still nice. I could use it, but I've only used it like twice.
Right.
It's just like, do
Right.
I get rid of it? Do I keep it? And you stare at it in
Yeah.
the pile. You have the donation pile, the trash pile, the keep pile, and you're like, does that need to be in the donation pile? I could keep it. Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But-
Trying to organize stuff. I come across like a juicer. I'm just like, what the hell do we have this thing for? I'm like, oh, God. We haven't made juice in months, years. It's a nice juicer, though. So it's
It
like,
is.
yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I get it, dude. That's great. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, good,
man. Here's to an awesome 2025.
Yes, indeed, brother. I'm looking so forward to it. We are marching on and forging new stuff, and I'm super stoked about what we got coming up.
Me as well.
All right, brother.
All right,
Another good
man.
episode, bro. Love you, dude.
Love you too. Talk to you.
Bye.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our website, guysfishingweekend.com, to check out the GFW merch, sign up for our newsletter, and learn how to get involved with the community. We appreciate you spending even a little bit of your week with us and are glad to have you along on the journey. Stay legendary and happy fishing.